So what do you think about Tiwa Savage's album, Celia?
So I think Tiwa Savage's album, Celia, is not a bad album. I just don't like the fact that we like equating what is not exceptional with what is terrible. Tiwa Savage's album is not a terrible album, but it's not exceptional by any means, at any cost. However, but on the commendable side, it's a very personal album. She talks about some intimate sexual desires that a lot of women might relate to or relate with. She talks about a failed marriage to Tunji Balogun, T-Bills, that produced a child. That was the most personal moment on that song. And then the album itself is titled after her mother, who is named Celia. And she's basically trying to say that some of the music that she dropped on the album were inspired by some of the lessons she got from her mother. And the last song on the album is titled Celia's Song. She says that it's inspired by the happenings around COVID, but there is nothing around that album that reflects COVID. Yeah. It seems like an afterthought. She was doing a virtual listening session that they held about a day or two before the album. She says it was inspired by that. But nah, it doesn't sound like that. Seems like an afterthought, like it's cooked up. It fits the narrative. So let's just put it out there. Nah, it doesn't seem like it. If you want to talk about a song that reflects, that talks about COVID, you can listen to Ibeji's Leke Leke. Leke Leke basically it says, Leke Leke, Bami Leke, bring the ones I've lost back to me. That's a song about death and losses. On Celia's song, you were praising God and thanking God. It's an amazing song. Personally, I think it's the best song on that project. It's so good. Fuse does something special with that beat. Although the beat feels like we've heard it before. Immediately heard it and it was a Fuse beat. But at the same time, it's such an amazing song. It's so calm, it seeps into your soul, it's alternative, it's pop, the guitar riffs are amazing. But then, the way the album has been received by people has not been especially positive.
Well, why has that been so? Because the release date, we saw people talking about her blocking spree on Twitter.
Yes,
we also saw Yamila trending #1 on Twitter on her release day. There's this whole issue about the album not resonating or not catching on. What's the problem with that?
It's very simple. Tiwa Savage, the 2019 change of guard, it's rocked the Nigerian music space. It's meant a lot of things to a lot of people, or it meant different things to different people. But of the 2010 generation, only Burna Boy, we can only say Burna Boy is the only one that has not been significantly affected by that. And what those boys brought into what Wizkid, Tiwa Savage, Olamide, Burna Boy brought into the quality and the quality check, the reality check, the jolt they gave Nigerian music space in 2010. The new boys, that's Omale, Fireboy, Joe Boy, all of them. The jolt that they've given the Nigerian music space again is a reassurance of quality. So what people want now is it's either quality or nothing. So for example, Fireboy's sophomore album that dropped, even though that album is such a good album, a lot of people say, oh, it's not a good album because the album doesn't speak the language they probably wanted to speak. And the perception around the album, the buzz and the build up to the album, and the fact that Laughter, Tears and Goosebumps hadn't exactly peaked. The album was still going strong when Apollo dropped. So a lot of people are saying it's a mid album. It's not a mid album. It's just the new assurance of quality in the Nigerian space. That's why people are going to blast anything that seems remotely vibey. When Wizkid was saying, Joro, 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 people are going to come for you. That's it. So at the end of the day, when it comes to Tiwa Savage, it's all about the assurance of quality. The fact that the album wasn't exceptional made a lot of people equate it to being average or being terrible, which it wasn't. It wasn't at all. It was a good album. But at the end of the day, you would realize that a lot of people might not have even listened to the album to even have an opinion. They might not have settled down to listen to the album. And then about the blocking spree and the fact that Emil Ade was trending, that seemed kind of petty. We are going to talk about it from that perspective. Some of these grievances started when the Guardian UK article about Tiwa Savage dropped. But we're going to get to that later. But then about the blocking spree, the question is, what did those people say to Tiwa Savage? What did you say? she's not a mad woman. She's a grown woman who's going to be like 39 or 40 this year. If she's going to block you, then you must have said something. Tiwa Savage has a record of blocking people on Twitter. Don't get me wrong. She blocks people. I know 3 of my friends have been blocked by that account. But at the same time, did you say hurtful things to her? Because you can be insensitive without realizing. And there's a thing about context. You like selling things that serve you in a positive light because you want to control the optics subconsciously. So you might have gone there to say, oh, Yemi Alade is better than you. What do you expect her to do? As much as Yemi Alade performed at Tiwa Savage's show last year, they are still rivals. So you can't just go there. Creatives are sensitive people. You don't want to say something that is going to sound hurtful to someone else. And the moment you say it, you can't make people angry and then have the prerogative to tell them how to react. But at the same time, the fact that she was blocking some of those people also reflected bad on her. Because how? If you are giving people, the energy you put out there is a perception that people have of you. If you are putting energy out that, oh, I'm very sensitive, people are going to treat you as sensitive. Okay. And if you unlook them, they are going to come on your back more, and that's the power you have over them. The fact that they are not reacting. But now that she has put the energy out there that she can block people, bruh, people are going to think you're sensitive, and you can't control it.
In your review on the Pulse website,
yes.
Which you wrote, your main grouse with the album was that the branding of the rollouts didn't correlate with the album.
Yes.
Explain more on that.
Basically, if you're going to, these days, it's about the rollouts, it's about the PR, it's about the branding, it's about a lot of things. Look at Burna Boy, for example. If Burna Boy is going to go on radio circuits and talk about, in the build up to his album, or in the aftermath of the release of his albums, he's going to be talking about Black Power. He's going to be talking about Africanism. It's going to be talking about Black excellence. It's going to be talking about year of return. It's going to be talking about everything that relates to the excellence and the elevation of Black people across the world. Because he's a self-styled African giant. That's how he wants to be perceived. That's his marketing points to the world. It got to a point that on the Breakfast Club, people were asking his opinion about Beyonce. It doesn't get bigger than that. Your opinion is not more relevant than that. So when it comes to Tiwa Savage, here is a woman who has a track record of getting accused of ignoring female causes. Even though I know it as a matter of fact that this woman helps a lot of people behind the scenes. And here's a woman who also went on Nigerian radio and openly said that she doesn't identify as a feminist. Make no mistake, it's not a problem to not identify as a feminist. It's the word that you don't want to be associated with. And you have to also realize that the word has a bad connotation across the world. But at the end of the day, if you, as a foremost female artist, as the biggest modern day African female artist, who won the MTV European Music Award, if you go on a radio station and say you don't identify as a feminist, people are going to be hearing different things. Because people are very basic. They don't think. But at the same time, she has not been speaking on a lot of things. We can't deny that. But then all of a sudden, if you go on Guardian UK, you have an interview on Guardian UK, and the headline of that interview portrays you as the face of spearheading the fight against rape in Nigeria, then there's a problem. Because there's no track record. Now, it won't be a problem if that was a one-off. But then it became a thing. There was a nexus between that interview and the interview she had on Hot 97, where the fact that she was speaking against rape issues also came up. Because Laura Stiles said, Tiwa, I know you like speaking about these things. Tiwa Savage has been speaking about rape recently. But then it seemed like you are trying, if nobody was trying to paint her in that particular light, those issues will not be coming along. And as a matter of fact, we all know that the standard of the African artists to the Western community is Fela. And Fela stands for activism. It stands for standing against social political issues. So that brand is beneficial to Tiwa Savage.
That's why she took it on.
That's why she took it on. And it's a lie. At least to the public eye, it's a lie. You might say that it reflects your entire truth, no problem. But perception is important. That's why I'm going to write a review. And a lot of people are going to, the positive things that I said about the review, that's why people are going to take over the positive things I said about the review. That's how the human mind works. The things you have not done significantly, and now people have talked about it, and now you have ignored it for so long, that's what's going to come to mind. The day the article dropped on social media, it caught fire. A guy even quoted the article and said, does Tiwa Savage know about this? That's the extent of how our perception... You got an article, yes. A guy quoted it and said, does she know about this? That's the extent of... That's the
how people don't see you in that light.
People don't see you in that light. So, the entire idea seems manufactured, it seems strategic, it seems convenient because it is beneficial to Tiwa Savage to be perceived as that way. If you're Africa's biggest female star, then you must be able to speak on female issues. It's easy, it is resonant, it is beautiful to see. But at the same time, it is not the truth.
She does not have
there's no basis for it.
Yeah.
There's no track record to back it. You have to earn it if you want to be called the face of rape in Africa. You have to earn it. You have to show a number of years of fight. What the brand of that album should have been, if I were a PR person, very simple. You were vulnerable on that album. You were talking about the female hypocrisy about sexual liberalism, this hypocrisy towards sexual liberalism of women in Africa. That's the brand. All you had to do was create a conversation. Own it. Oh, people have been saying, I've not been discussing. Own it. Truth. You can't hide truth. Own it. People have been saying I don't do this. Even though I have. I've just not been talking about them in public. So these are the things that I've done for women. These are the things that I've done for women. I know that people don't know about them. But here I am. I know that I have to be responsible. I have to show my face more. On this album, I titled this after my mother. This album is me saying all the things that I've learned as a woman, things I've learned, things my grandmother taught my mother that she taught me. So I want to take up my power now, from here on out. I'm not trying to prove anything to anybody, but I'm trying to say that I can be this thing, and I'm going to speak about it going forward. That's it. That's what the brand should have been, and that's facts only.
Okay, so now, with the branding, the up-branding that you didn't like, the change of guard, the album not resonating like a team would have wanted, what do you think the future holds?
For Tiwa Savage? Only Tiwa Savage, Motown, and Universal can determine that. But from a standpoint, Tiwa Savage still has a number of years at the top because she's Tiwa Savage. 10 years at the top doesn't just disappear like that. So Savage came onto this stage like a hurricane. But going forward, I would like to hear more of her vocals. I'd like her to get more confident using her vocals. She has beautiful vocals. Like what she did on the Tiny Desk concert, singing in her natural vocals. Amazing. The album was filled with an excessive amount of auto-tune. I know it can be hard sometimes to use your vocals and sing in it because you might not be able to trust your vocals anymore because you have had a number of years not using your vocals. But at the same time, those vocals are so beautiful to be left alone. But I also like to see more resonant facts coming out of her camp. More resonant truths, not just things that seem cooked up to sell in a certain way or convenient to sell in a certain way. I also like, this album was very experimental. I think I like that part of it. Very experimental. I would like her to keep experimenting going forward. She also used a lot of songwriters, which was amazing. In a country that stigmatizes superstars for using songwriters, she used them and she used them open. I like that to continue as well. But going forward, I would just think that she must know that superstardom is not a lifetime thing. By the end of the day, she's still Tiwa Savage, and she's never going to stop being Tiwa Savage, and that's facts only.